And welcome back to part 2 of chapter 1. So we kind of touched on the forces fostering project management, and basically that's leading to some changes in the way projects are managed, right? More consensual at this time. We take a more systems or holistic approach when we're making our decisions, not just based on a function or an artifact. And our projects are established, right, as we said, in order to meet set strategic goals. So we have the company strategy. Then from that, which we get in the business case, from that we'll build our charter, which is a high level approach to our project, but still valuable, still measurable. Then we'll build our detailed project plan from those documents as we drill down. And so project management as an organization, we've been doing projects for thousands and thousands of years. We mentioned the Tower of Babel. But project management as an institute, or PMI as it's called for short, has only been around since 1969. They are currently on their sixth or so version of the PMBOK Guide and building version 7 now. And it's the largest professional organization in the world. And so that should demonstrate the value. There are probably 700,000 plus PMP professionals around the globe today. And so our trends go from our focus on the triple constraint, scope, schedule, cost, to now still focused on the triple constraint, but also achieving strategic goals, tying our project to corporate strategy, as well as routine project goals, and improving effectiveness or efficiency. CPI, continuous process improvement, is a term you will hear a lot, especially when we talk in various courses about quality management. Today's projects are broad, and we can expect virtual projects. So how are you going to overcome those obstacles and still meet your objectives along the way? And we do it within the project management life cycle as demonstrated here. So as we look at this chart, right, notice the S curve in blue. And this is typical of how a project starts. It starts off very slowly with a little work being done by just a few people. And the majority of a project from here to here, this is where execution is happening, and you're spending a lot of money and you're building out your deliverable. Then notice projects taper off at the end as you clean up the paperwork and get your customer approval and acceptance and formal sign off for the deliverable up here. That unique deliverable in this time-bound approach, which is the definition of a project. Unique deliverable, time-bound. Okay? So, and so the time distribution of a project looks like this sort of curve, right? Where it's kind of a bell-shaped curve, and your peak effort is going to be right up here. It mirrors the S curve. And what you're doing here in the end is facilitating the termination, acceptance of the deliverable and termination. This could be another various approach to it, but you can see it's a short start and then a spin up where you'll spend most of your time. All of this creates certain amount of risk, and this is why projects in general have not succeeded historically to accomplish the objectives within the triple constraint. And so in this approach, the waterfall approach to project management, which is largely what we're studying, is risk-based. We are looking everything we do, including when we get to estimates, creating great accurate estimates, because an accurate estimate reduces risk to your project in not meeting the triple constraint. So risk, by its shortest definition, is just this one word. Risk equals uncertainty, right? Risk is an uncertainty. We have uncertainty about our projects, right? And so risk during the start of a life cycle is easier to deal with. Later in the project life cycle, risk becomes much more costly to deal with, and it will have a major impact on schedule and scope and requirements if you have to go back and do something again. Here is another view or approach to that risk during the project life cycle. So this is one phase. This could be another phase. And you can see at the end of the phase, if a risk is executed, it's going to set me back. What I want to do is find the risks early where they cost less in time and resources and dollars and impact to requirements, and fix them here so that I don't end up with fixing a risk later on in the project. So the final slides here are just about the structure of the text. We're going to talk about part 1, project initiation, and cover these topics. Part 2, project planning, and then project execution along the way. So I'm going to take and then of course, okay, so for project initiation, I'll just close with this. Once the company has a firm understanding of its strategic approach written down, it's going to look at multiple things it could do to enhance that strategy and improve profitability. And in doing so, your C-suite, your CEO, your CIO, your COO, your CFO, your PMO, etc., they're going to do a business case on a couple of projects and determine which ones will return maximum investment. And that's when they're going to hand it to the PMO and say, here's the business case, with another document called the benefits management plan. That's detailing the benefits the company expects to get out of it. And with that, you're going to be assigned, you the project manager, by the PMO. They're going to hand you these two documents, the business case and the benefits management plan. And you are going to begin to develop your project charter. So you start at a super high level of a business case, which says, here's the project and here's what we want to accomplish. Then you'll develop your charter, which is still high level but measurable, and you will then look to build out a detailed plan. Here's a quick example of how that might work. Your companies, so San Francisco, before the Bay Bridge was built, probably said, hey, Sausalito up north, we do a lot of business with them, but wouldn't it be great if we had a way to increase traffic between the communities? And so they're going to build, the mayor of Sausalito and the mayor of San Francisco probably built a business case with their staff and said, look, we need to increase transportation between our communities. That will increase profit. I think San Francisco will make a $100 million profit off of it. I think Sausalito will make a $20 million profit, but they're a much smaller community. It's acceptable to everybody. They've built a business case. They've made some justification at a very high level on why they should improve transportation between these communities. They take this business case and they hand it to the PMO. The PMO assigns you as the project manager and says, great, now start your work. You then build a charter. You say, okay, in my charter, it's still high level, but I need to boil down this business case a little bit. So you might say, well, I'm going to look at what if I drive between San Francisco and Sausalito, and then you look at the construction of new highways and the time it takes, right? So, well, another approach might be air balloons, right? I'll do air balloons across the thing, right? And you look at that and say, well, you're doing feasibility studies. What's feasible? Finally, your feasibility study says, a bridge is feasible. You say, great. In my charter, though it's still high level, I am going to build a bridge, and the bridge will go from this point in San Francisco to this point in Sausalito, and it's going to be 8 lanes wide, 4 on each side. It's California, so we want a bike lane on each side. It's California, people like to walk, so we're going to put a pedestrian path on each side. And it's California, it's beautiful. We're going to put a pull-off area so that people can enjoy the view. on this bridge. The bridge needs to support 290 trillion tons of traffic and 1,400 vehicles at any one time. I'm making up these numbers, but these are high level but measurable objectives. When I'm done, I can look and see, was my charter accomplished? Do I have 8 lanes? Do I have a pedestrian lane on each side? Do I have a bike lane? Do I have a pull-off area? It's measurable. Now, once that charter is approved, now I'm ready to do detailed planning, which is outside of initiation. What I just described in building the charter is part of initiation. From that high-level charter, I'm able to build my detailed plan, because my charter said nothing about the engineering requirements to sustain this, or how to drop pillars into the bay and make them stay there, etc. Those would be in the detailed plan along the way. And so we're going to discuss some of these kind of topics throughout the course in these various chapters. So we'll stop here and then pick up with chapter 2 when we come back in just a few minutes. Does that sound good? I hope so. See you then.